Dear intercessors, Lars Enarson here with an update from Israel about the war in Israel and in Gaza primarily. Today it is 290 days since the massacre on October 7, when over 1,200 were murdered in Israel and 250 plus were taken as hostages into Gaza. Right now there is a critical situation for the hostages, the remaining ones, about 120, including a little baby, still being held by this inhuman terrorist organization in Gaza. And we need to increase our prayers right now. Yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu took off for Washington, D.C., where he will meet with President Biden and also later on speak to the both House in the Congress. And we need to cover this also in prayer. Prime Minister Netanyahu said when he took off that right now it's a very it's a good time for negotiations about getting the hostages released from Gaza. We need to pray that God's will take place. Israel has been very successful in the war in Gaza lately, even though soldiers are dying every week. Israel has been very victorious. A couple of weeks ago, they were able to take out the Hamas second man, Mohammed Deif, who was one of the architects behind the massacre on October 7. And now what remains is the main boss of this terrorist organization, Yahya Sinwar. In Zechariah chapter 9, we have a promise that the king of Gaza will be taken out. And the king that has ruled Gaza for the past decades is the terrorist organization Hamas. And particularly right now, it is the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, who is the king in Gaza. We must pray that Israel will be successful to take him out also, because that's the key to have the hostages being freed from the tyranny in Gaza, and also that we will see the promise of a revival in Gaza. I want to encourage you to watch my video, The Future of Gaza, on my YouTube channel, where you can have more information about what the Word of God says about Gaza. We are praying for the liberation of the hostages, but we are also praying for a revival in Gaza. And God has also promised victory in that chapter that is Zechariah chapter 9, for all the enemies that are surrounding Israel right now. Israel is facing a war on 7 different fronts. And remarkably, Zechariah chapter 9 deals with all of them except that Iran is not mentioned by name. But we need to pray faithfully in line with the prophetic word that it will come to pass, that God is going to help his people, because that is going to glorify God's name all over the world. He is the God of Israel, and we are called to stand with Israel in intercessory prayer at this time. So thank you for being a faithful intercessor. As I said, right now is a very important time to pray. Today is actually the fast in the 4th month, mentioned in the book of Zechariah, among other things in chapter 8, where it is promised that these days of fasting in the 4th month and the 5th month and so on, which traditionally have been associated with tremendous bad things happening to the Jewish people, that God has promised that these days will be turned into days of feasting and joy. So let's believe that God is going to help Israel right now be victorious in this war against her enemies, so that this will be a time that has usually been a time of judgment over Israel, will be a time of restoration, of victory, and that is what we are fasting and praying for. So God bless you. Thank you for praying. Shalom.